Well, hi and howdy, folks. Welcome once again to another episode of Dave Diggs History. I am your host for the channel, Dave Diggs. It's good to see everybody again. Thank you for sitting in your appropriate places, gentlemen here and ladies here. Well, the youngins are out to recess, even in the cold. Let's talk a little bit about some various things. First, it's good to see everybody, and I hope you're doing well. Christmas and other certain holidays occur this month, and whichever one is yours, hope you celebrate or celebrated it in an appropriate manner. Now, you may remember from last episode, which will be part 3 of the Holiday Traditions series, an event held at Explore Park in the dead of winter. We talked about these two people, Laura Virginia O'Hanlon and Francis Pharcellus Church. She being the Virginia of Yes, Virginia, There Is a Santa Claus fame. She's the one who wrote the letter to Mr. Church, who is the editor of the New York Sun. Doing additional research, you always come across things. It might be interesting to note what happened to these people after the letter. Because these two people, more or less, are known for the letter, Yes, Virginia, There Is a Santa Claus. But there are other things worthy of mention. Mr. Church, for instance, during the upcoming late unpleasantness, shall we say, was a war correspondent. And also he became the editor of the New York Sun at one point, which is why he received a letter from Laura Virginia O'Hanlon asking about Santa Claus. Now, he stayed as editor of the Sun for quite some time, and he passed away in 1906. What about Virginia? What happened to her? Now, her writing that letter and getting that response puts her in the Hall of Fame category, but there's other things she did that could be more important. For instance, she went to college. Yes, that's unusual for this time period, which would be the end of the 19th century. By the time she gets to college, she went to Columbia University, and she graduated in 1911 with a master's in education. That is stupendous for a person of her sex at that time. But that's not all. She didn't stop there. She went on to Fordham and got her doctorate in education in 1930. So she can rightfully be called Dr. O'Hanlon. She went into the New York City public school system, and she stayed there teaching school until she retired in 1959. And she passed on in 1971. So for some of us here, Virginia O'Hanlon is sort of a contemporary. Just thought I'd throw that in. A little something else I came across. But here's what the episode here is about. There's a question that gets asked every so often by the visitors to the school. It wasn't asked often, but it was asked enough to warrant comment. And the question was, at this time, are there pets? Legitimate question. And here's the answer. The short answer is yes and no. Here's the long answer. First, pets. If we're talking about pets as the modern generations might view pets, yes, but you're not going to find them around here. You'll find them in the homes of people of means, people who can afford essentially the luxury of having a pet dog, pet cat, pet ocelot, pet giraffe. No, I'm kidding, of course. For folks who live around here, the parents of my class, the parents of my students that I teach for them, These are farmers with an occasional miller and blacksmith thrown in for good measure. These people are not plantation masters. No, they're an entirely different breed. These folks here are farmers of a largely subsistence level in a hard scrabble area. So no, for them, pets that eat resources, not really something they can do. But you knew there was a but coming. Do they have dogs? Yes. Do they have cats? Yes. Are they pets? That stretches the definition. For these people here, these hardscrabble farmers, subsistence people, every animal on the farm has to pull its own weight and contribute to the family existence. So in the case of, let's call the dog Old Blue has to earn his keep. And he does that by keeping the deer away from the cornfields, wheat fields, if any. He also keeps away small animals, say bigger than a possum, from making trepidations against the farm food supply. Now, in the case of the cat, we'll call the cat Mouser, because that's his job. His job is to track down the mice and the rats and keep them away from the grain and anything else that's edible. Because if they get in there, they're going to eat up resources and contaminate them, what they don't eat. Keep the raccoons away from the hen house and the goose pen. Keep all the critters that might do some sort of harm through no intention of their own against the family, and they've earned their keep. Well, what happens when Old Blue and Mouser, they can't earn their keep anymore? What happens then? When they get to the point where they're too old or crippled, disease, whatever, that they can't do their job of supporting the family existence, do you take him out into the woods and dispatch them? You'd have to be a pretty mean person to do that. It's not typical. No, you allow Old Blue and Mouser, if they get into that advanced age condition, to live out the rest of their lives in peace and quiet and love, because they have earned it. They deserve it. They did their part. Think about this. There's Grandpa. There's Grandma. They live there too. Matter of fact, Grandpa built the place that they're living in about 1785 or so, 1790, thereabouts. Did it all by hand, of course. He plowed the fields back before there were iron-tipped plows. Everything was hard, difficult, strenuous, hard, life-threatening. He doesn't do that anymore. He can't. The years and the labor have taken a toll on him. He sits over by the fireplace with a comforter on his lap, a little tin of snuff, and he's happy. He, yes, consumes resources, but he has earned his keep. Same with Grandma. Now, Grandma, who did largely anything and everything, her hands, the arthritis has gotten to her, and they're just large balls of hardened flesh. She can't do much with them. She contributes next to nothing to the household. She can't cook. She can't sew anymore. Can't make anybody a scarf. And speaking of that, Grandpa, he's a little touched upstairs. Would you take them out into the woods and dispatch them because they're no longer contributing? No, you don't do that. That goes beyond meanness. That is just downright sinful. You don't do that because they did their part. They earned their keep, And part of earning their keep was to make sure that their children, you, got to live to be someday their age. So no, we do not do that. But it was a question asked every so often, deserved an answer, and when they asked that question, that was the answer that I gave them. And with that, it's a little early, I think, but it is. But it's cold, and I think they want inside to get some warmth. So appreciate your being here. If you're new, a like and a subscription would be appreciated. Apparently it helps the logarithms. I don't know what that means. I've never seen a log with a rhythm, but apparently it helps. It's 1850. What do I know about this? Thank you all for coming. Appreciate your being here. Hope to see you next time. And speaking of next time, we'll have another exciting episode. In the meantime, I'm going to go out and get the children and bring them in, sit them by the fire. Until the next time our paths cross, I have the honor to remain your most respectful and obedient servant, Dave Diggs, coming to you from, as always, a long time ago. Thanks for being here. Do take care of yourselves. All right, kids.